I want to talk to you today about scripting. This is when there's a major problem, you really need to get heard, and everybody just talks over you. Scripting. This is where, say your dad's beating you up, and you've been mulling it over and mulling it over and mulling it over about turning him in, but you also know how it affects the rest of the family. You want to tell somebody without it causing a whole bunch of alarm and ending you all up in foster care and your mom homeless. You practice it in your head. You practice it in your head. You practice what you need to say, and hopefully they don't interrupt you over and over and over again. That's why I beg people, please stop talking. Please let me speak. Please. I am the victim here, God damn it. I got the same problem now that I had before Natalie was killed. Cops are just gonna blow me off on a mental fucking health. I can't take care of myself. I can't defend myself. Every penny that I am spent on this stuff is a penny I can't spend on myself. And I don't have much. And I got people who don't understand my mental fucking state right now. How fucking scared I am all the time. And I am stuck in public. And for somebody who is autistic, that prevents us from being able to defragment. The world around us is constantly bombarding us. And it is not the same as it is for you. So stop saying that. Stop saying, oh, it's like that for everyone. No, it is not. All right, so we got these guys who get on here. When there's something that really bugs me, they'll do it over and over and over and over again. This guy here is calling himself the Aspie World. He'll just make messages and retract them. That's cowardice, and you're fucking gone. Don't do it. You're easy to get rid of. Hide user on this channel. You see how easy that was? You're gone. Just like that. Just as easy as they did with me in court. Oh, Sean, you don't exist. We're just going to use the mentally ill thing. Mentally ill, mentally ill, mentally ill, mentally ill. I am fucking overwhelmed from goddamn abuse. All right? If they can call me mentally ill to deny me all my goddamn rights, then put me in the ground. So what are we going to do? What can we do? Well, I can't do anything alone. That's the problem. I will get blown off and sent to mental health, and that is inappropriate. It is inappropriate for them to continue sending me to fucking therapy when I'm trying to turn in crimes. I just don't want to do their fucking job for a homeless person, especially one who's not a local. Well, this is fucking freezing up. I don't know why my phone's freezing up. I'll try telling this story anyway. Me and James went in yesterday to care. Again, I've already gone through this. All right, when I finally get someone to go in, it's not somebody who's going to fight for me like family will. Obviously, my family didn't bother to find out what's going on. Why can't anyone help me? Because none of them listened. None of them cared. All of them wanted to talk over me and tell me they're always too busy. Unless it's the fucking happy Sean, they don't want to hear it. Someone calling himself Frank Jameson type, my son has autism. Yeah, that's a big problem. If he's low functioning or high functioning, he's still going to need you to advocate for him. When he's taken advantage of, he's going to need you there to actually make sure that his rights aren't violated. Anyway, getting back to that lady yesterday, Alicia, she told me to come back at noon. I was a little bit late, I'll admit that. And she said that I would be able to use the room, which is great. So I went there, and she said that when I got back, they would photocopy my papers there so that they would have it. Like, this is the thing, is that it's been 16 months of this guy, James Murphy, stalking me. And he's not the only person to stalk me. When you're homeless, police will lie to people about you in order to try to gain a false, what do you call that? All right, for example, Boulder, Colorado, at the Starbucks. The police used to come in. There were homeless people that were playing guitar, or, they call it busking, or people who were holding a sign, and these people weren't doing anything wrong. But the cops would go in and say, there's a guy out there, if he's, yelling at your customers, and do you want us to 86 him? And they'd ask that. Now, that's not one of the worst ones. Sometimes they'll go up to a homeless person who's new to the area and start harassing them and intimidating them, and then saying that one of the other homeless persons said something. Oh, that guy over there. Officer Steinman's favorite person to blame was Monkey. That's Michael Pennington. Every time Steinman would go harass somebody, he'd tell me that Monkey told him. Tell him Monkey's a rollover and a snitch and a narc. Frank Jameson typed, I got a stalker like Murphy by the name of Lawrence Albert Connor. Hey, being as you got a son who's got autism, you understand how important it is to turn it in right away. How much of the stuff with this stalker Murphy have you been able to see on my channel? There's a lot of videos. Most of them, the ones before I got served papers from him, like, it's just the opposite of how it should go. The police, instead of lying to Murphy and Logan Bishop and Shayna, instead of telling them that I had some guy in my car, me and this guy were friends, he was in my car doing drugs, like, that ain't what happened. There was no room for anybody to sit in my vehicle. Kind of like when Officer Waylon Lovatai decided to assault me. They wanted to pretend that I tried to bite them. See, that's what they do to shut you down. Or they'll feign an assault. They will assault the fuck out of you so you're in severe pain and you can't do anything but writhe in pain. Well, Frank Jameson, either you are following my channel and have been listening to anything that I've been telling you about and looking at some of that, or, well, obviously you have. The thing is, dude, I am an at-risk adult. The way that I've been treated while trying to go through this is inappropriate. I literally can't defend myself against these people. I can't afford to do the things I'm being asked just to get the body cameras. I can't afford that. And that's the thing, is they're taking advantage of me as if I'm just some average Joe, and I'm not. They know that I have disabilities, and they're running me around in circles. Anyway, Frank Jameson, could you stop typing at me, please, so that I can focus on the task at hand? It is very difficult, and I need you to not derail the train. If you're not going to call it in and help to turn this in, or help to speak up, I got to continue with what I'm saying. Anyway, when I got back there with James to the care office, Alicia, she had me go into a room, and you know, I had to ask about the room. How long can I have it for? Because I mean, I need appropriate accommodations. I'm disabled. I can't keep carrying all this stuff in and out of buildings. I'm incapable. Incapable means I fucking can't. It's not a decision. So then we went and sat in the room, and I had some questions to ask, and I brought my paperwork to get a photocopy of it like she said we could do when I got back. But that's not what happened, is it? No, we sat in the room, and me and James talked about it for a second in there, and, you know, the thing is that appropriate accommodations, I had those before Natalie was killed. Okay, my apartment in Chapel, Nebraska would have been fine because I wasn't having to deal with hostile attacks from people in town before Natalie was, well, before she disappeared. I was having to deal mostly with internet bullying and bullying in real life if I tried to go see anybody that was a part of my support network. Like, that's the thing, is that this slander didn't just result in people making fun of me on the internet. It resulted in me not being able to see my friends and family, the ones who are supportive. Over the internet, people take everything wrong. Over the phone, people take everything wrong. In real life, these people would have realized there was a goddamn problem, but I couldn't even go to see them without people assaulting me as if I was some sort of perv. And that's not fucking okay. I didn't do anything to these people. When I had to speak up about Maddie Boa and Alicia Bollinger and Natalie Bollinger and all of their fucking assholes coming at me, I'd been going to cops. I'd been going to my friends. All they did is talk over me, just like now. Except now that I don't have any resources, now they're like, oh, here's a paper. Here's a paper. Now that you don't have a place to sit down in peace and quiet and write it down. And never mind all the times that I wrote it down before. They don't matter. Like, don't live in the past, or the past doesn't matter. It fucking does. Their motives for hurting me are easy motives. But when somebody stalks you from another jurisdiction, where you were stalked by the cops there, that's not fucking okay! These places abuse at-risk adults because they make a profit from it, and that is not okay. For them ignoring the crimes against us like this and forcing us into fucking homelessness, allowing druggies and drug dealers and child molesters free access. I was the only man in Natalie Bollinger's life who wasn't interested in her vagina, and that includes her father. The abuse that I endure over that, you get to hear every one of these places. They downplay it. You guys don't stop to understand. There is no way for me to protect myself from this. I couldn't protect myself from this before Natalie was killed. I could not protect myself from people who talked over me after cheating me, and I couldn't go to anybody because I can't possibly be disabled because I'm capable of speaking English. This is how these fucking people treat it. But then they send me to mental health anyway. So what'd that dipshit do? Well, we didn't get to sit down in peace and fucking quiet. I was hoping to be able to explain to the guy, hey, this is what's going on. I am being victimized, okay? This is the thing. I am being victimized, and I can't take care of myself. And the cops prey on that. Molly preyed on that. Farnsworth preyed on that. Always getting talked over and told, well, don't you have any friends? Don't you have any family you can ask? No, I don't. No, I fucking don't. That's why I'm talking to you fuckers alone. My friends are just going to make fucking excuses. I have to turn it in right away, and I'm going to get blown off and sent to mental health right away. That was their idea of helping me when I was in fucking assisted living in Chapel, Nebraska. Then the abuse against me is magically okay. Somehow. Because I'm, what? Because I'm in assisted living? They didn't follow the laws there. I went to my friends in Chapel, Nebraska, the few that were still there. I went to Brenda Dickinson, and I tried to explain what was going on. Same thing everywhere, just talking over me. These guys want it to be finished in a 30-minute episode, and that's not how it works. It takes longer than that. And no, a little bit at a time, 1 hour a day over time is not going to work. All right, more crimes are committed every day. I cannot defend myself against this, and I am afraid to go to the goddamn cops. They will take advantage of my disabilities, and you goddamn know it. They've done it time and time again. And no matter what, they got some bullshit excuse why it's my fault. I haven't been able to turn in a single predator yet appropriately. When I was in assisted living in Chapel, Nebraska, Nicole Peralta was able to cheat me out of that. That's the therapist that was supposed to help me put a stop to this abuse. She sent me to the Front Range of Colorado. I got a hold of Nicole Gerald. I was like, hey, Nicole, By the way, this is the girl who sexually molested me with a carrot. Well, a grown woman. But she's a therapist, and I needed help stopping this abuse. It was that bad. So I called her up. And I said, hey, you know what? I'm in hell. My life is hell. I've been sent by my therapist to the Front Range to try to get help stopping abuse. I'm being stalked. I'm being harassed. I need help stopping it. So she got me in contact with another therapist, a guy by the name of Jeff Ritter. And I spoke with him over the phone every Tuesday morning for a good long while. I didn't even think to record it. Well, I kept on going to him and to Nicole Peralta, back and forth and back and forth. And still nobody would do anything. And I had to pay rent in Nebraska at the assisted living where I wasn't getting any assistance. And I also had to pay rent to Kenneth Wilson and Leah Plunkett's, and the rent just kept going up. Ken wanted somebody there so Leah Plunkett wouldn't kill herself. So in the beginning it worked out. But I was at the Front Range like I was told to, and I couldn't afford to stay in the Front Range at Ken Wilson and Leah Plunkett's, and I couldn't afford housing in Chapel, Nebraska anymore, and I couldn't afford to keep driving back and forth. And I still wasn't getting any help. Everyone that I called, everybody that I went to, all they could do is tell me what to do and what to think and what to feel and tell me just to ignore it, just to ignore it. It's hard to ignore it when you go to see your friends and you're punched in the face. Or you got assholes screaming shit at you like you're some sort of fucking autistic retard who runs around and fucking rapes people. Like, what the fuck? And you know, I at least got some specifics out of the people pushing and shoving me. And I didn't count any of that as assaults. I'd arrange it to meet up with a friend so I could talk to him in person, because in typing I can't type very fast, and they would just type suggestion after suggestion after suggestion. I'm like, hey, please stop typing suggestions. Please listen to me. Please listen to understand. And the problem is nobody listens to understand. All of these agencies here are sending me around to other agencies that are all telling me that nothing is their fucking job. The thing is, by not allowing me that access to begin with, by sending me around in circles, when I tell them that the library is not appropriate, that having to do this in Fred Meyer's is not appropriate, that it's not appropriate to have to do it at McDonald's, or in my car in parking lot after parking lot, because I am always afraid of the police coming and harassing me because my car is unsightly and I'm homeless, and people hate the homeless. If I start having mind you, this doesn't hurt anybody. I put my wrist like this and I rock back and forth and I go, and people make fun of me for that and they bully me for that. I could literally get shot for that or tased for that. That's when I've tried talking to everybody that I can. Hey, I'm being harmed. Please help. I can't defend myself. I don't have the money to do all the things that you guys want to tell me to keep on doing, like go to therapy, go to therapy, go to therapy. The therapists are not helping me to turn it in. They're not caring like an actual family or friend would. Actually listening to understand and making the calls. Figuring out themselves who they can call. The people that primarily need to be called are human rights advocacy places and the media. And it's okay to show how naughty I've been. It's okay to show that part. Just show why. You tell me it's not okay to threaten people back. Well, why not? The police aren't going to do anything about them threatening me. Meanwhile, I keep explaining to y'all how wrong I believe it is to go threatening people back as well. But that's literally what I was forced to do to try to get a court date. Repeatedly. My dad didn't care what I had to say. It was all about what he wanted to say. When there's somebody with a communication difficulty like mine, you might need to wait a few seconds when you got questions. But it's more important not to derail the train, because we have to script it. We have to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row in a very confusing situation and explain it one block at a time. One period of time, the people who are involved, the crimes that were committed, and who I went to for help, and how I was treated for going to them for help. Now, that guy yesterday, he wanted to... I tried to explain the situation so that he was aware. This is a mental health place, by the way. All of these places say exactly the same thing, the mental health places and the non-mental health places. They all leave when the cops get there. Or the cops all leave when they get there. And they say that they can't be there together. And then finally, when they are willing to, it's after they've both committed crimes, and I'm trying to turn both of them in and being sent to them to investigate themselves. Like, come on here, guys. I got to go to the cops that committed crimes against me to turn in the mental health places that committed crimes against me by taking advantage of me instead of assisting me. Without a friend or family member there who actually understands autism, and not the autism speaks style of autism, where they think that we're all low-functioning retards that need to be shocked. They demonize us. Do you have any idea how difficult it is to be heard in a world where you're demonized? And then our most likely predators are our parents and people in positions of power. We're 12 times more likely to be physically and sexually abused by somebody in a position of power. We're 12 to 15%, or 12 to 15 times more likely to be abused at home physically and sexually. Then there's the fact that I am homeless. I had an address, I had a room. What I didn't have is help. So everybody that I called told me it wasn't their job, it wasn't their job. Going down to the courts, I explained to the courts that I was being gang stalked, that I couldn't go to see my friends or family, that people were harassing me over the internet and in real life. It was explained to me that since people weren't harassing me in real life in chapel, that I couldn't get a protection order. I had to go to Broomfield. I went and did that because when I tried to talk to the cops, of course I didn't call 911. They were right there. It's a small town. You just flag them over. I hadn't been in chapel for a while, so I didn't know those people. New set of cops. I was told on one occasion that the officer had real police work to do, and on 2 occasions that I just needed to man up. You know, when Tim Beeson is threatening to kill you and your family, this is Natalie's ex-boyfriend. I know that drugs are involved. I know that the guy has access to me. I know he's been calling me and telling me that he's going to kill my friends, and he's, saying their names in specifically. Now, most of the people that were calling up and threatening me, they weren't given specific names, and I did make fun of them for that. Yeah, I made fun of the dudes threatening to kill me and my friends and family over the phone. I'm like, dude, you don't know any of my friends. It's the constantly getting messed with that sucks, or being ignored. Like, oh, well, we already won by doing a whole bunch of illegal stuff. And now the reputation you have will prevent you from ever being heard ever again. Oh, yeah, and you're separated from all of your friends, and you can't make any new ones because everybody's fucking stressed out. And it's tough to make friends, especially for somebody who's autistic. You get to hear everywhere I go where I do try to make friendly. I have to mask everywhere, and I have to pretend everything is fine. If I show any signs of frustration or fear, and that's the point, fear. If I show any sign of fear, they call it frustration and get angry and hang up the phone. They fight for you to do that. They fight hard for you to do that. That's what they want you to do. They want to antagonize the situation and talk over you when you're trying to turn in officers or other mandated reporters. Under the guise of just doing their jobs. But then they don't explain any of the stuff that they need to these other agencies. Hey, you can't keep bullying me by saying, hey, there's no one-stop shop. If you have a family member who cares, there is a one-stop shop. You've got a family member who calls it in with you right away. That's the one-stop shop. All of the rest of it for an at-risk and disabled adult out here is victimization and them playing stupid. As soon as they know that you're homeless, they know you don't have resources. As soon as they know that you're autistic, they know that you can't take care of yourself and that you need assistance. And they automatically know that, hey, they don't have to provide anything. It's supposed to be all of their jobs, but they're just going to ignore it. How do I act like when I'm not masking? I do that, and I do this with my wrist, and I blink my eyes back and forth. But I'm always trying not to do that. Sometimes I blink extra just because I'm trying to make sure they're not blinking one at a time. The way that I talk is kind of like this. I don't really like to, basically I just sound bored. I do practice using tones when I speak. I do understand vocal tones. That's one of the things about us is that if we're tone bullied, people are like, oh, well, you're getting frustrated, so I'm going to hang up. Why am I frustrated? Because I am harmed often. And the things that it takes for me to defend myself, I don't have. Since I'm not in assisted living, they pretend that it's magically not a crime to harm me. The major crimes are being committed by the police here and everywhere else. By preying on that mentally ill tag to infer or insinuate that we're all schizophrenic out here and therefore shouldn't be heard. Making it their word versus ours, which is why I record it. And you get to hear how they try to paint a position or a situation different than what's recorded, now don't they? So it's not about the evidence. Nobody's going to look at that. Nobody's going to help to collect that. When I go to talk to Ashley at CARES to get that done. She allowed me a room, and I went and sat in, and I thought she was going to come in just a minute, and no. It was some dude who looks like Clyde from that 70s show. Sat there, fucking all stoned and stupid. Wanted to pretend that telling the cops that this is not their job is against the law because it's giving out my personal information. No, the fuck it's not. Them knowing what your job is, instead of sending people to you repeatedly, and we have to go back to the police and say they're telling us it's not their job. I've already gone through all this there. I've gone through the spiel at CARE 4 or 5 times, and I keep telling the cops, hey, cops, they don't do that. That's not what they do. Yesterday, they finally allowed me a room, but I already knew that with a room comes somebody else. Also, the way that she had left the room, I had thought she was coming back to talk to us, but she didn't. Instead, she pawned us off on newbie stoner dude. You're a mandated reporter. Don't tell me what your job for work is, because you're still a mandated reporter. That's why I'm being fucking sent to you, you fucking twat. Now, as far as the room goes, I need to know what accommodations there are and how long I can have, because I can't just be rushed out of there after 30 minutes and told, hey, we need the room. That denies the victim proper access. They're lining homeless people up and mentally ill people up back to back to back to back. So there is no room for them to do their jobs as mandated reporters. So they spend all this time trying to talk you out of doing it, lying to you about what their job is. You're still mandated reporters, goddammit. And then they send me around to everybody else. I still can't take care of myself. I don't have a place to even defragment. I'm stuck in public. I'm stuck talking about rape and murder and racism in public. While obviously on my channel you can see all three. You can hear from witnesses to the situations. Tell me how I'm not supposed to be afraid in a situation where a man beats on a woman half his size who's screaming at him that he's a rapist. And she does scream that at a lot of people. Most of the time she's just screaming it aloud. But there's 4 guys there that she screams at exclusively. This guy's one of them. When she's directing the rapist thing, she's directing it right at him. And he follows her down, and then he chases her down. Speeds up. He's not walking anymore. He's running after her, and he socks her in the back of the head. He didn't need to do that. It's okay to be violent with people to shut them up. That ain't the First Amendment. That's the opposite. That's also what these KKK Second Amendmenters are doing. Hey, I got the guns. And they keep doing that to us. Here's the thing. I need someone to understand that I need someone to protect me like they would protect a child who's been abused. Would a police officer talk to a child who's being abused like this? That child is just supposed to take the paperwork home. These people don't look at the mess that I live in, the clutter that I live in, or the fact that I can't take care of myself to even clean out the clutter. I'm sent in so many different directions. There needs to be an actual caseworker to actually address my issues. They say they can't give legal advice. Well, they can tell me what the, what do you call that? Who it is that I'm supposed to go to when their people break the law. Also, when their people refuse to give me their names, how am I supposed to turn those people in? These are people who are working in a professional capacity. They're accepting your tax dollars and refusing to give their names in so many places. In order to help me, I need you to make calls with me. And that's the thing about trying to do so through a professional agency now. I do post people's phone numbers up when they scam me. When they go out of their way not to understand, when they go out of their way to talk over me or to try to make me feel like a bad person when I go to them by telling me all their personal problems. People who are witnesses to abuse even. Oh, I can't turn it in, I'm too busy, I'm too busy, I'm too busy. Well, I don't know who to turn it into. Well, look on my channel, who all have I tried to turn it into? It needs to go above them. It needs to go to the federal level, which means the FBI, but you also need to make sure that you call it in with a lot of other people. It also needs to go to the state level, the state police, and explain that Tillamookkk County is committing a lot of felonies here against at-risk and disabled adults. There are many homeless people out here who are not on drugs that are going through this too. Explain that I've been trying to turn in that stalker Murphy. That situation started over police officers lying to me. And mind you, prior to this, the police officers had already pulled a gun on me. Sorry, put their hand on their gun. It didn't come completely out of the holster because the lady yelled at them. Some guy was walking down the street with a rock, so somebody called the cops on him. And the cops came up to me. I don't even look like the dude, but I didn't know that at the time. I'm like, see, that's the thing. They'll just pick some hobo at random. Obviously, I don't have any rocks. And I wasn't able to get the recording started until, obviously, after they was leaving. Thank goodness that lady was there. But you get to hear her talking about it. I mean, I was freaked the fuck out. Two days later, it might have even been the next day, this guy comes up, he's soaking wet. All right, he's got a pair of pants on, no shoes, no socks, no shirt. I give him a shirt, I give him his socks, I give him shoes. I might have just given him socks. I don't think I had a pair of shoes to give him. He asked for a cigarette, I rolled him a cigarette. Logan showed up and asked for a cigarette. I didn't know who Logan was either at this point. There was no room in my vehicle for anybody to be there for nothing. Now I did offer to let this guy warm up. You can hear that in the video. So then when the cops show up, it's the sheriff's department. The Hood River Sheriff's Department and Police Department are both there. And of course I recorded they were talking to people I didn't know. It turned out it was Logan and Shayna. And Logan and Shayna told James Murphy the story about the guy with the rocks too. But that's where the whole situation got started. James Murphy was, of course, telling me, the cops told me what you did. Cops told me what you did. Like, no, dude, cops didn't tell you nothing. The cops outright lied to you. James Murphy was going to assault me in the McDonald's because he thought I was some dude with rocks. Okay, it's not illegal to own a rock, is it? But I don't own it, and I wasn't the guy with rocks. What the police had told Logan and Shayna and this guy here, James Murphy, is that I was doing drugs with the dude in my vehicle. There was no room for anybody in my vehicle other than me. Told him I was on drugs. Told him this guy was my friend. Basically, they tried to paint me out as some shady fucking character, some shady druggie there, doing drugs with this guy who was fucked up out of his gourd. And that they needed to be afraid of both of us. Now, by this point, I was already trying to turn in the police for the interaction prior. Like, hey man, I'm just a hobo. I'm not a fucking tweaker. I'm not a junkie. I'm trying to get help stopping abuse, and I'm trying to find my missing friends. I get talked over by everybody. That is my disability. That is where we shut down to absolutely nothing. What happens when we have to be afraid to speak? We get antsy and we need to pace. If we're not allowed to do that, we curl up in a corner in a ball and fucking rock back and forth. You can't do that here. You'll get arrested or you'll get taken to a mental hospital. Mental hospitals don't help. They want to give you drugs. Drugs do not change autism. Drugs do not fix autism. Stop trying to send us to places to be drugged when we're fucking abused. I need y'all to call any government agency that you can in Colorado, above the station of the local police or state police or sheriff's department, because I tried all three there as well. It's the same treatment nationwide. The reason they treated me the same at every place is because I always had to go in alone. The one time I went with somebody in Colorado, Miss Peaches went with me to go talk to the state police, because that's who we were being sent to. Because the Boulder police, they weren't going to investigate themselves, refused to investigate themselves, said they're not allowed to investigate themselves. Then later on, after I got out of jail, like in August, this is months and months and months later, I got out of jail and finally, you know, when Miss Peaches is too busy and all that, they're like, oh well, I'm sorry, I forgot where I was going with that. I started stretching and my back popped. I saved the names of the witnesses and saved the names of people who know the witnesses and can get the police in contact with them. The problem is these people could be helping me to turn it in, could have helped me to come forward to begin with, instead of it becoming this big giant mess because the cops don't want to do their jobs, forcing me to go back to police officers who have committed crimes against me. That's immoral. And all these mental health places not telling the police that they don't do that. All these places saying all these other places have a room. And then, of course, only an hour at a time. Only an hour at a time. I needed to ask those people that care, how much time do I have here? Because, see, I didn't have any sort of advocacy whatsoever when I had housing after Natalie was killed. And it was the same thing. Chapel, Nebraska. Same assisted living. But the people at the assisted living facility were taking advantage of us, and they were in the news for that. But I wasn't heard. How could I possibly go to the cops about any crime committed against me? And I'm forced to do so. Without a friend or family member, I have to beg. I have to offer people money. Please, I'll give you money to fucking help me. Now, there's a lot of people, like the situation with James here in town. He doesn't know much about the situation, and I do want to be friends with him. I like the guy. But right now, I'm not able to make friends. I'm too afraid of people. I'm too afraid that if I tell them the truth, instead of them helping me to turn it in, they'll hate me and throw me away because my side was never heard. They don't want to deal with the reputation. And they're just going to talk over me and infer different things than what I'm saying. Every place does that. If they don't let you give details, then it's all right. You didn't tell them. If they talk over the details, then it means you didn't tell them. If they talk in circles and then tell you you're talking in circles, you're right, because you're not listening to the victim, all right? You're playing devil's advocate because you're trying to protect yourself and others who are supposed to do this job. If you don't hear nothing, then there was no crime committed. That's the importance of you guys telling them, hey, I saw this on YouTube, on Facebook. I've seen this stuff in these Facebook groups and these YouTube groups. The abuse that he's recording isn't just internet abuse, it's abuse he's dealing with in real life. I'm not just being bullied on the internet. I'm being bullied in real life. Anyway, for my next video, I'm actually gonna block the messages because none of y'all are gonna help me. I hope that you do. Call news agencies and power pound it. Send them as much information. All these instances where I'm being victimized, and I literally got to act a goddamn fool to try to get the cops to do their fucking jobs. Like, is it that difficult to, instead of argue with the person, listen to them and do your job instead of arguing with them, digging for excuses not to? See, they won't do their job for a homeless person. Unless, of course, that homeless person is somebody they have a vendetta against. Anyway, I'm gonna drive up to Center Market and I'm gonna get some breakfast so now we can chat. The thing is, I don't need your storytelling time. This is my storytelling time. And every interruption derails the train. Please, just let me tell my story. Please. If you're going to offer to turn it in, then turn it in, record it, and send me a copy as proof that you did. Because a lot of people promised me they were going to help me to turn it in, and they would turn it in with me for my safety. See, that's the problem with all these people, is that I need them to go in with me for my safety so I could turn it in. And where were they? Claiming that they were doing stuff that they never did. Sure, they claimed that they did, but showed no proof. And the cops claimed that they didn't. The cops claimed that I wasn't trying to get help and nobody would help me because of how I act. And the reality is, I was trying to get help. People weren't helping me because any excuse will do when somebody's being harmed like that. I do have to worry about the police, but luckily they have to worry about me too. And why do they have to worry about me? Because I record. Something they don't have to worry about with any of the rest of the homeless people Or these youngins. Yeah, record everything, dummies. Take me to Tillamookkk Library.
Okay, Tillamookkk County Library. Here we go. Head west on Wilson River Loop toward US 101 North, then turn left onto US 101 South.
Alright, I'll give you some suggestions of people to write and call.
Turn left onto US 101 South, Main Avenue.
Adult Protective Services, for starters. And tell them that the places that I'm being sent to here have not done their jobs as mandated reporters. It is inappropriate to send me back to them, and the police aren't doing their jobs. I've gone to every service here. Also, the Autism Society that is supposedly be here does not exist.
Continue on US 101 South for 1 mile.
I have to go out of jurisdiction for assistance turning them in. And once I'm out of jurisdiction, the place is out of jurisdiction, tell me that they can't do anything because it's another jurisdiction. No, this is systemic abuse. This has resulted in death in many places. Just because a disabled person is homeless does not mean that they're not disabled. Taking advantage of the fact that they're homeless and the bias against the homeless as an excuse to not do your job for a disabled person, that is completely fucked. I am a goddamn vulnerable adult, and they're fucking taking advantage of that because sometimes I can mask well enough to speak well enough that they'll pretend to fucking listen. Right onto 2nd Street, then your destination will be on the left. Take the next right onto 3rd Street, then turn right onto Stillwell Avenue. Take the next right onto 4th Street, then turn right onto Stillwell Avenue. Take the next right onto 5th Street, then turn right onto Stillwell Avenue. In 600 feet, turn right onto Adrian. I'm gonna end the video here because I'm burning up a lot of battery.